just because Sunday I get to relax.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aireonna. I'm so glad to be joining you guys. I was gonna say tonight, but for most people it's like the middle of the day. Time zones are so weird to me, but I don't want to say some like chicken in the sea type Jessica Simpson stuff. But why wouldn't it be? It's because of the sun. Never mind. I'm not
It's
gonna.
because of the
We're
sun.
not
It's all
gonna.
right. I think about that all the time. I work with people in the East Coast, and I'm like, why can't we just be all working at the same time? But I forget the sun comes up early where they are. So
I did a stream with Vish, and like now that and I think Stephanie too. Now that I'm over here, I realized because they always communicate with me in Pacific Standard Time, and I'm always like, oh wow, like I didn't realize the effort that you had to put into like I'm sure it gets not difficult, but anyways, what's most important, and I'm so excited after a bye week, all this, like I said, I'm staying with my friend and she's been listening to me talk about football and streaming, and she's been like, what do you do when there's no game? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, we're excited for a game. So there is a game tomorrow, Saturday, prime time for a Saturday night game. I think going to be one of the most, I think the most exciting game. No, just kidding. Chiefs Bills. But but I think at a very exciting matchup. And I think all of the games are really exciting this divisional round. I felt like the wild card round, too many blowouts. I know the
way too
49ers
many.
are favored by like 9.5 points, but hopefully most of the games will be more competitive. And I think that was the exciting part of the Packers like blowing out the Dallas Cowboys and then competing so well with them, is it makes us, or me as like a fan, hope that the 49er game will be competitive. Are you one of those fans? I think I was talking to Rob about this from, I know it's not Niners Nation anymore, but Rob in the 49ers community stats. He was saying he actually prefers like blowout victories because he wants to just feel calm. I don't know. Maybe I'm like sick and twisted. I like want the game to be kind of competitive. And I don't mind it like, and the 49ers have been pretty good about this, like kind of keeping it way too close and then like pulling away in the fourth quarter. I like that. You can do that.
I'm more about like, so I watched the game in the sense of in the first quarter you could tell who's gonna win. Like that's kind of how I watch. When I watched the first quarter, I could tell by momentum and stuff like that. You kind of see the momentum swift changing and stuff. I don't really care if it's close or not. Like it all depends on the way the games go and the flow of the game. So for example, the Niners could be down 14 points, but if it's 14 points and they're shooting themselves in the foot, I know they're gonna come back. I'm not tripping. Like I'm the kind of person like I watched. I'm like, man, there's narratives.
I think I just spit. But then, on this microphone, that's not mine. Sorry. But then, but then, but then I just thought about how they could hear me say that, but it's okay. But the only problem with that mentality is, okay, so I've never had that mentality. I am a roll with if the 49ers are doing bad, I think like we need to fire Kyle Shanahan. The game is over. We're never going to come back. And if the 49ers are good, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy should be MVP. Like I am a live down, out, and down in person. But then at this point, now I forget which game it was, but there was a game that was like that where the 49ers, I think it was the Eagles game, where they were like the first two drives of the Eagles game, the Eagles looked like they were, how ironic is this now? But the Eagles looked like they were outclassing the 49ers. And I remember I like tweeted something super dramatic, like the Eagles aren't even in the same league as the 49ers, which I mean, they're not, but not for the reason I thought so. And I was talking to Eric Crocker about it we do a Monday show and on his channel. And he said what you're saying. Like, he was like, oh, I could tell like the 49ers were playing so bad for themselves and they were like beating themselves at that time. So I was like fully confident, going to send out, that meme he does of them being like, you guys in trouble. He was saying like right away, he thought that the 49ers were going to win that game. And so he got me in that way of thinking where I was like, okay, next game that happens where the 49ers are struggling, if they're beating themselves, if they look like they're the reason, maybe not the other team, I'm going to like have full faith that they're going to come back. Like I'm channeling my Eric Crocker. So then in that Ravens game, when Brock Purdy's throwing 3 interceptions, I'm like, well, there's like in the first half, I'm like, there's no way they played worse than this, right? Like this is as bad as it gets. And then he just kept throwing interceptions. And so
That's
I was like, well, this
crazy.
is what I get for being optimistic. Like I was in there with Sam Darnold, like they're going to make a comeback. They're going to make a comeback. So now I prefer to I prefer to put my expectations really low and be impressed versus having high expectations and be not impressed.
Yeah, it's funny because one of my
Disappointed.
closest uncles, he watches a game like that, right? Like if the Niners aren't doing good, like if they don't get a first down, God damn it, kind of like, come on, kind of like stupid play call and stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm at the point where it's like, honestly, the Niners play, the Niners win, they lose. It don't matter in the sense of like, it matters to us as fans. Like obviously it hurts, but it's like, it doesn't matter to us in our everyday lives. So for me, I'm like, you know what? I'll watch it in terms of narratives and stuff like that. And depending on how the game goes, I'll kind of have a feel. So like even the other day, my grandma was like, I used to be just like you, like, oh my God, like game's too close, like on my feet, you know. And then like this season, my grandma's
Standing in
watching
front
me.
of the TV.
Absolutely, like standing, sitting, up and down. And like this season, my grandma's like, you don't go crazy like you have been in the past couple of years. I'm like, Grandma, they're gonna win, watch. And then she just laughs. She's like, oh, okay. And then sure enough, they win. It's like stuff like that. So like for me,
But then
I'm
what do you do
excited
when
for
they
this game.
lose? That's how I felt with the Ravens game. I'm like, they're going to turn it around. And then they didn't. And you're like, oh, I'd way rather. I'm totally he'll watch it. I almost feel like I shouldn't spoil it because it's really going to crush him. But before I did streams, I used to like to like go for walks and like do stuff during the day when the game would be playing. And so a lot of times I would listen to the game, or because a big thing that my dad and I did on Sundays together when I would be back home is we would like go for walks, and he used to always be like, don't spoil it, like don't look at the score, and he would record the game for us to like watch when we got back home. And I'd be like, okay, but I like to know that, like I get so anxious. And so I used to like go, I'd be like, oh, I have to pee, and I would like go in the bathroom, and I'd be like looking on Twitter, and like Jordan Elliott would be like, oh my God, Jimmy Garoppolo, what are you doing? And I'd be like, oh, he just threw a pick, and like totally spoiling for myself. But then I could still watch it when I was with my dad, and like I'd still get just as into it, but I didn't have like the crushing defeat if they lost, like because I already was mentally prepared. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I feel it.
But anyways, Mr. Cool asked if we're nervous about the Packers game, and that's going to kind of transition us into our first topic. Is I feel like the discourse online, and this could be very like my response to the question I'm going to ask you is that I think football is such a week-to-week league that the Packers literally just played and everyone just saw them do good. And the 49ers were so good that they had a bye week, so they're just not really on people's minds. But I feel like the discourse online, people, and once again, the betting favorite doesn't really go towards this. So I don't know how much people buy into this, but I feel like a lot of national media talking heads and a lot of people online, a lot of those, like, I feel like this sounds like a diss, but those like third string QBs that are now doing like JT, Kurt Benkert, I think all those have great insights, but they're all like, oh, this is going to be a really tough game. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be interesting. And
But you know what's
yeah,
funny
I got
though, Ashley?
Packers.
I
Yeah.
I have to bring it up because you brought them up, right? They're
Yeah.
over here saying it's going to be a tough game, but then throughout the entire season, all their content came like they blew up because they were propping Brock Purdy up, but now
Yeah.
they're thinking it's going to be a close game. Like, how does that make sense? Like, explain that to me. Like, that's where I'm like confused. Like, you can't do both. You can't throughout the entire season go Brock Purdy is a top 3 quarterback in the league, and then as soon as the playoffs comes and start, some of those guys, I'm not going to drop names, but some of them are like, well, it's going to be hard for the Niners to win in the playoffs. How the hell is it going to be hard for us to win in the
Yeah,
playoffs
you're
if
like,
you've
why?
already
If they
said,
have
yeah, like that's where I'm
that's
like, that's where I draw the line. It's like, okay,
little
cool,
inconsistent.
do your content, do it, but like stay consistent. Like, is he a top 3 quarterback or not? Because if he's a top 3 quarterback, like they've said, it's not going to be a hard game for the Niners. Like, let's be real. Like, it's not. It is what it is.
Okay, I'm going to transition. I'm going to ask you a different question before I ask you if you're nervous about this Packers game then. When you're comparing Jordan Love and Brock Purdy, do you think that do you,
I did this. It's
would
just funny
you
you're doing this to me because I did this to Josh Harper and I did it to Rohan.
who do you think is more talented and who do you think at the end of their career might have more career success? Because I think those two things can be different.
I think the more talented quarterback's obviously Jordan Love. He has the rocket arm, but he also is throwing with anticipation. He's doing a lot of things that Brock is doing, leading. And you also got to realize he's also leading a bunch of young receivers, a lot of rookies. The whole receiving core is pretty much rookies. Brock's leading a bunch of veterans, right? It's a little bit different. Now, Brock might have the more success because he's with a better team, and I think it's a better coaching staff. Kyle Shanahan's a better coach. So Brock might have more success throughout his career, but I'm not going to say Jordan Love can't have the same amount of success because he's that kind of quarterback. He has the talent to do it. And it's funny you say that because I asked the same question like to them, like without them knowing it was going to be asked. I didn't know this was going to be asked right now, but going back to the first question you had asked, why are Packer fans so confident? I think Packer fans are so confident because, like you said, it is a week-to-week league, right? And the last time that the national media got to see us, or most fans got to see us, it was against the Baltimore Ravens on Christmas. Like, that's the last thing they have from the 49ers. They don't have the rest of the season and who the 49ers actually are in their mind. Like, they see the 49ers like, oh, they're frauds because they lost to the Baltimore Ravens. Yet they don't realize week 18, we didn't play many starters. We lost to the Rams, but we didn't play starters. So it's for me, that's
They
why they're
weren't
so
like
confident.
Kyle Shanahan after that game basically went in the podium and said that him and Sean McVay said that their main goal was to not get anyone injured.
And exactly, that's what they guarantee you. They talked on the phone before, like, hey, there's just honestly, it doesn't matter. We're both already welcome. Bienvenidos, mi gente. Bienvenidos, Robbie. So it is cool to see like the 49ers coaching staff and the Rams coaching staff at that point, like, hey, you know what? We're both already locked in the playoffs. Let's not get anyone injured. And then to go on to it, I think it's at the end of the day, the confident Packer fans should be confident. And I'm going to say this: the reason why they should is they have a quarterback. When you have a quarterback, anything's possible.
Crazy Packers, man.
Dude,
How did they do that?
they need to go through.
To be fair, to be fair, they were trying to replace him like 2 months ago. I think he has to do it for longer. I'm impressed. I'm not saying he's not going to, but
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, we're going off of like,
but it does. It looks like
about,
they have a quarterback, which is incredible luck for them, like for that franchise.
And then the thing is too, like I think Jordan Love's good. I think he has a talent, but like I did with Brock Purdy, I'm holding off on him. I can't make him the top 5 guy. Like him, I can't say he's a top 10 quarterback just yet because there was a period of time where he struggled. We don't know how long that's going to last. Now, he did also go on a 7-10 game run where he was one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio. But again, I want to see quarterbacks. How do quarterbacks evolve when teams start throwing different looks at them? That's to me how you know a quarterback is made it and a quarterback is here to stay. When a team that has film on them finally adjusts on how they're playing him, and that quarterback says, okay, take that away. I could do this too. So it doesn't really matter when you can't be schemed against.
And that's
That's
usually
the quarterbacks.
year 2, year 3, right? In your opinion?
Usually, sometimes you'll see it year two. Year 2, usually normally like as a full-time starter, you'll see teams start throwing different looks at them, and depending on how they react, in my opinion, is how good a quarterback truly is. And once you have that, for example, 2019 season, right? Jimmy Garoppolo came over to the Niners 2017, right? 5 games, went on a run. 2018 got hurt. 2019, no one really had film on Jimmy. He takes us to the Super Bowl. What happens the following years once they got film on him? He couldn't evolve. And at that point, once you cannot evolve,
fair, even in those 5 games, they were winning, but like the offenses never ran so efficiently where they've been scoring like 30 plus points.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely. But like when I was more so saying how
yeah.
teams adjusted to him, and then out of nowhere you see him no longer be Jimmy from 2019, who, in my opinion, I thought Jimmy in 2019 played good football. Just in the playoffs, he sucked. That's exactly the worst time you could suck. But I think Packer fans are confident because they have a quarterback, and they just hung 40 plus on the Dallas Cowboys, who is actually a pretty good team. If we're being 100% honest, that's a solid team over there in Dallas. So that's
I do think
good win.
I do think, though, for the Packers, like, a reason if I was their fans, I wouldn't be confident is I think there's this expectation when you enter the playoffs that now you're entering like a new level of competition. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys aren't good, but I don't think that they bring the like physicality that may be associated with playoff games. And that, like, I think when you get hit by Fred Warner, you're gonna like the Packers wide receivers. They're gonna be like, this is a different feeling than what we felt by Dallas. They're a
And
little
I
bit of a
absolutely
smaller team
I
too.
agree with you there because you're right. Like you do have to remember like the Niners defense isn't the Dallas Cowboys defense. So like there's levels to this, right? Like the Dallas is under the Niners, but hey, I love a team coming in confident. I mean, it's gonna be a better game. Um, Definitely. So, are you confident? Like, how confident are you in the Niners? Like, you're a
I know,
fan. How
right? Maybe
confident
I'm
are
not.
you?
Maybe I'm not making it seem. I'm like extremely confident,
Right? Like,
which is like I. That's why I think I don't really understand. I think it's cool that the Packers got this far. I'm not confident in them beating, the Packers years to come. I think if the Packers continue to ascend, if Jordan Love is this guy, if they can keep production, I know AJ Brown or not AJ Brown, Aaron Jones is a little bit older, but I think with that coaching staff, Matt LaFleur probably feels so good about himself, by the way. Like kind of a get to stick it to Aaron Rodgers winning more on his scheme now. I think they could be a really good team to come, but I just think that they're really young right now. So I don't maybe the rust factor, but I just feel like going again against a veteran team that's kind of been there before, I just feel like the 49ers are going to put them away.
well, I mean, I know you state like the rust factor, but what about it being in a rain game? I mean, the weather might not be
That
on the
okay.
Niners side, right? So like,
Yeah.
it's anything could happen
That's
in those kind of environments. Now, the sad part is we've seen Brock in a kind of environment like that, right? Like we've seen he hasn't
he
done
struggled
great
in the rain, right?
in rain games. Like that's something we've noticed. At least I have, and I know you have as well. So,
Right
what
now.
are what are your
He's
thoughts
definitely
on because once you have a rain game, anything could happen. Turnovers happen, fumbles, balls a little slippery, slips out of your hand as you're throwing it. Now that happens for both quarterbacks in opposing teams. Now, when you play in when you play in weather like that, I'm not going to try to use big
yeah,
words
and
right
it
now.
looks like it's gonna be running like the raining and who knows, like I'm looking on my iPhone, but it looks like it's gonna be raining in the second half the most, which
Run the score up in the
if
first,
there
Kyle.
is but if there is like a little bit of rust factor and the 49ers, because we've kind of seen them, right? Like, although I do think that they have a game script where they go out and score right away and then like kind of keep the lead, we've also seen them once again with that Philly game kind of have a little bit of a back and forth, maybe play down to their competition, get warmed up, and then kind of really take off in the third and fourth quarters. But yeah, it would not be ideal if you're trying to pull away when you're in the rain. Obviously, it's a playoff, so win is win, no matter how you win. But you don't want to be down, especially no offense with Kyle Shanahan, and that if you're down by whatever score, you don't want to be
Going
down
into
going to
the
the
fourth.
second half with it raining. With Brock Purdy, who we've seen have the ball literally like fall out of his hands. I know he has that, but it also doesn't say it's going to be like torrential downpour. It just
No,
says
it shouldn't be crazy.
like a light rain. Yeah,
It should be handleable like sprinkles and light
but
showers
I
at most.
do I do agree with you though that like if the rain was going to benefit any one of the teams, I think it's more of an equalizer and probably benefits the less talented team, which is interesting because with a Kyle Shanahan, I've always felt this way and been confused why Kyle within his regime has struggled in the rain because they're such a defensive and run game dominant team. It's like if it's raining, why wouldn't those things pull you away? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but
Actually, I think
unfortunately,
this
they've
game the
seemed to
rain
struggle.
favors us this time around.
Oh, you do? Okay, so
I
that's what I
think
was gonna
so
ask. Do you? You think
because
so?
one, we have Christian McCaffrey. I think Elijah Mitchell has started picking it up. So now you have a two-headed monster in the
Yeah.
backfield. But you also
Jordan
have
Mason. Over under over over
right
under
away going into over under,
over
huh?
over under. Yeah, just like teasing for later. Over under literally 2 carries in all of the playoffs and the Super Bowl for Jordan Mason.
I'm going over because we're gonna blow the Packers out, and Jordan Mason's gonna get some carries in the fourth. I'm going over. He might get that this game.
There you go. There you go. There you
go. But I think this game favors the Niners because you have Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and then you have the X factor in the run game, Deebo Samuel, a guy you get the ball to real quick,
And
bubble screens.
he has a history of running the ball in the playoffs. They run him in the playoffs.
For me, I think that's a bigger factor in the rain game than the Packers. Now, the thing is, though, is in a rain game like this, when you have a strong arm, you're capable of doing very, very well against teams that are trying to stop the run because you have the arm to throw. So for me, I'm not too worried about the rain. I don't think the rain's going to be a factor at all. To be honest with you, I don't think it. I'm not going to go into this game with like, oh, snaps, like it's downpour. It's not like not like the game when we played the Colts where it's a super rain game
that was like
and
a
weather.
storm. Yeah, it was crazy.
So we should be fine. At the end of the day, it also benefits the 49ers defense, in my opinion. Their number one priority this week is to stop the run. So you're literally going into their game plan.
I don't think it was raining in that Philly game. I think it was just like cold weather.
Yeah, I don't think I could be wrong if it was raining in that Philly game. I know the 49ers played rain games in Cleveland, Seattle. I'm not too sure it was raining in that game. I could be completely wrong. But I don't think it was raining that game.
No.
I mean, I could check. I'll check right now. Hold on. Because you could go to...
I'll go through the comments while you do that. CMC will be ferocious in the rain, but it hurts the D as it could slow down Dre and Fred for sure. Yeah, but I mean, I still think that they're gonna come out with a ton of energy as long as the field's not like slippery. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, missed tackles has been a problem this season. They've really cleaned it up the last 5 games, but I'm not anticipating it being a huge problem because like we said, it wasn't going to be storming. And then if we keep 80% of this team together for at least 5 to 7 years, we should be hard to beat regardless of what QB we go against. Purdy is a good QB if he continues to grow. I do think, I mean, I don't think, do you think, I feel like Purdy might be at his, do you think he's closer to his ceiling right now? Like if he continues just to keep this level of play, I think he could be a top 5 quarterback. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think they're going to keep the whole team together for 5 to 7 years, maybe 1 or 2. I know Trent Williams came out and his agent came out and said that he was going to not retire at the end of this year, so he'll be back for the 2024 season. But 5 to 7 years is a long time. I think Deebo will be gone, Kittle will be gone. Like a lot of Eric Armstead has been injured and missed 8 games for the last 2 seasons, this season and last season. I think this season actually he missed 6 games, but there was like a bye week.
So it doesn't. I'm actually looking at some of the highlights from that game. It didn't look like it was raining, but it did look like it was super foggy and stuff like that. Like obviously the weather wasn't like perfect conditions. So like I don't know if it was showers or anything like that. I don't know why ESPN used to have this thing where you click on it and it would tell you the weather of that game. They don't have that no more. So ESPN bets is killing everything.
Get it together, dude.
It's because they're focusing on all their betting stuff right now.
Strongly worded email. Okay.
All right. Pull a Karen on them. But yeah, so
everyone is focusing on betting.
That's the thing. It's money. Money talks. But I know you mentioned if Brock Purdy's at his peak or if he's at his ceiling. I think he's closer to his ceiling right now than we'll ever see. Like I don't think there's no. And what I mean by this is like he's playing at such a high level football. I don't think there's nothing.
Yeah. I'm not like insulting him when I'm saying that. I'm just saying.
No, obviously not. Yeah. But like for those who are like, oh, he's not at a ceiling yet, because I know some will probably say that. It's like, no, he is, because he's playing at such a high level IQ wise, throwing with anticipation. You can't do that much more like than he's doing now. The talent wise, his arm's not going to get much stronger. He's not going to get much faster in the NFL anymore. So, like, I think he's at his peak. Like, what we've seen is the best of Brock Purdy. And the likelihood of us seeing this again from Brock Purdy isn't that likely, if we're being 100% honest, because most quarterbacks come down from their peak a little bit and they still have those kind of moments. So I think he's at his peak. I think this is the best we'll ever see Brock Purdy play, which isn't a knock. And then, like you're saying, like I hate that we always have to say it's not a knock on Brock. because there's people who are like, well, you're just hating on Brock. No, it's the truth. Like, let's be real. Let's keep it on. Let's be honest. Like,
And
same thing with.
I want to I want to say, like, there is the possibility that he does get better. Just when going back to betting, if I was a betting person, I feel like 7 out of 10 times this would be this is an incredible level of play, and if sustained for multiple years, Brock Purdy was in the MVP conversation this year. Obviously, not as strong of contenders as most years, but like his touchdown to interception record or disparate. Never mind, words are hard. Brock Purdy has statistically was number one in multiple categories and playing at an MVP conversation level. So I don't think it's a diss to say if he continues this level of play that he would be at his peak, but that his peak would be really good. And I also agree with what you're saying that most people don't stay at their peak forever. That's what makes the greats so impressive, is that they're able to sustain that level. Even people who aren't like the most amazing ever, like if you're talking about a Kirk Cousins or something, just the fact that, or Dak Prescott, right now people have a sour taste about him because of the Packers game that just happened. But the reason that those guys are still starters in the league is because they've been able to maintain like a good to above good level of play for so long. So if Brock Purdy continued this, it would be great. Now, I don't want to like limit him and say like I just think it's what like the betting odds are way lower, but it is possible that he gets better because if we think about it, he got better this year and he was coming off elbow surgery. He's going to get a whole nother offseason where he gets to solely work on his arm strength. I think he already knows Kyle Shanahan's really scheme really well, but they get to continue to work together, and that's going to help each of them. Him, Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, Brock Purdy as, and maybe getting some ability to learn when to go on the fly and when not to. He himself admitted after that Ravens game that he got kind of in his head after a couple interceptions and started pressing. So there are still even mental aspects that he could improve upon. But yeah, I mean, I just don't like. I think he's already playing at a very high level. That's why I wouldn't expect him to get massively better. Where if you look at a guy maybe like Jordan Love, who does have a little bit potentially more physical attribute talent-wise, and he hasn't even played for as long as Brock at this point, you can kind of assume he might get better. And he also might not. Once again, most quarterbacks don't get better. But if he was able to sustain what he's done for the last 10 weeks and have an off season and all that, you would assume he could potentially one day be better than Brock because he does have a stronger arm. I think they're both, I think people did underestimate Brock's mobility, but capability wise, Jordan Love might be a little bit more capable as a runner. So I think, I mean, there's a reason they were drafted at such different places. Even if people should have drafted Brock Purdy differently, there are some physical attributes to his game that might continue to limit him, even if he improves in other areas, which I think he can do.
And I agree with KJ in the comments saying like, yeah, Brock's gonna get smarter, he's gonna get wiser, more experienced. Yeah, that's true. Like you will get smarter and stuff like that. But like, how smart can you really get to? Because he's throwing with extreme anticipation already, right? Like you can't throw with more anticipation than he's already throwing. You do, it's gonna be incomplete. Like you can't like throw the ball before your receiver's out of his break. He's already doing stuff like that. So like realistically, even though he's gonna get smarter and more experienced, that's not gonna do much in terms of his play on the field, in my opinion, because he's already doing everything on the field to the highest level that he possibly can, throwing within anticipation, making the right reads. So for me, like you can't really
want him to like, you don't like, even what I was kind of saying with those interceptions, like you don't want him to totally let go of making some of those risky plays because it's also what makes him good. So like maybe for someone saying he could get wiser, they could think, oh, well, like he won't attempt that pass again. But it's like, okay, well, if you're never taking risky plays, then you're going to be more of an Alex Smith guy. So it's like you have to continue to find that balance of I am going to push it sometimes, but I should also be aware of my limitations and like this 49ers team wins when I don't turn the ball over. So that should be my most important goal. But also, sorry.
And what's crazy, but what's crazy though is because I know the comment that he has is towards me, which is funny because what happens with quarterbacks at Brock, because the question was, is can he get better, or is he the most, like, this is the best we've ever seen and we'll ever see of, like, he's at his peak, right? There is a such thing as a third-year leap, right? There absolutely. But that's for quarterbacks who haven't figured it out yet. Brock Purdy has it figured out. Now with Brock Purdy, the thing is he has everything figured out. He's figured out and throwing with anticipation, understanding himself. The thing is his peak, and even with him not being at his peak, he's played at the number one category for most statistics and everything you could think of. That's the peak you could see. Even him not at his peak, he's probably a top 10, top 15 quarterback in the league. And you could win with that. Like, that's not disrespectful to anyone. Like, you can't really say it's a disrespect. And I know he could get more accurate. That's actually false. I was actually talking to a quarterback coach
I think he's
who's
very
a
accurate.
who's a quarterback coach for some big name quarterbacks. You cannot get more accurate when you're already accurate. That's for what he told me. I don't know what he meant by that. I tried asking him. He's like, just quarterbacks don't get more accurate. They really don't. So that's something that was interesting. So I know we play the Packers is not about just Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. If it was them going up against each other, it would be a boring game. We would
It's
see
going to be
quarterbacks
so
going
much
up against
more
each other.
about, in my opinion, it's kind of interesting because both of these teams, and it makes sense, right? Both Kyle Shanahan scheme, coaches. I think both of these teams' strengths is if they can run the ball well, that opens up the rest of the passing game and everything for them. When we've seen this Packers team have more success over their recent games, it's because Aaron Jones has done so well. Now, Aaron Jones has not done well in his career. He's scored one touchdown. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. One touchdown out of all the times that he's played the 49ers. So he has not performed well against the 49ers. Now, obviously, he's having a little bit of a resurgence, and this is a different 49ers team. I do think I'm certain that Eric Armstead will be out there, but we don't know, is he going to be playing through pain? Will that change his ability or not? I don't think so, because he had the same injury going to the playoffs last year and he played at an elite level. But yeah, I think keys to stopping this Packers offense is going to be shutting down the run first, which is what they're going to want to do to the 49ers as well. Although I know one of them said that the key was to stopping Brock Purdy, which I thought was a weird game plan. I feel like most smart defensive coordinators are like, we're going to start by stopping Christian McCaffrey first. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy has made people pay for that. Like, to be honest, the only teams that have really stopped the 49ers offense have been teams that have fully complete defenses, and they can stop friggin' Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy. So that's why I'm very confident that the 49ers are going to win, because if you were going to point to a weakness on this Packers team, I mean, Packers fans themselves, who are all of a sudden really confident, were trying to fire their freaking defensive coach like 2 games ago when Bryce Young had like a career game and then didn't score. The Panthers did not score at all. not like a touchdown, but just at all since that game. And they played more football. They had like 2 more football games. So I don't know. Very young teams. It's a young team, which is impressive, but not consistent. Very inconsistent. And I feel like with a veteran team like the 49ers, that's why I'm confident, because they're much more consistent.
And I think when you look at it, like when you're a young team, you haven't been up against a physical team like the 49ers. It's the keys to success for the Green Bay Packers is literally running the ball with Aaron Jones, which the 49ers have a good run defense when Eric Armstead's in. It's not terrible when he's out, but when he's in, it's an elite run defense. So when you're not able to run the ball, it makes life a lot harder because you become one dimensional. Now you know exactly what the Packers are doing, and it's why Aaron Rodgers struggled against the 49ers. Now the crazy part is I was talking, obviously you guys all know Jesse Naylor from Last Second Sports. I was talking to Jesse and David Lichty, who's on Jesse's show, and I was talking to him how, like, what's crazy is Jordan Love, his last 10 weeks is actually might be better for that offense than Aaron Rodgers' last year or two. And he in the last the
You
second to
gotta
last
know
year
that
was.
makes freaking Matt LaFleur so happy.
And what's crazy is his second to last year, Rodgers was an All-Pro. He was first team All-Pro, but the reason he makes that offense better is because he's actually following the script. He's actually following what LaFleur wants him to do. He's not going and doing whatever he wants. What's crazy is you don't see Jordan Love go to the line and check everything off and completely check everything and calling his own plays from there.
Yeah.
That's what Aaron Rodgers was doing, and in my opinion, it kind of hurt them because there was plays where I went back and I was watching Aaron Rodgers, and when we played them, there was
In the
things that were
playoff
wide
game,
open,
yeah.
and he wasn't
Yeah,
hitting
yeah.
it. He was just throwing it. Jordan Love's throwing those throws. Like he's going with what the coach sees and going with it. And I think that's a little bit more dangerous for an offense. And then what's crazy is Rich Madrid brought that up on Twitter recently, and talking about how the offensive coordinator actually went on a rant about it and said, yeah, it makes your offense a lot easier, because now you know
Did
what to
he?
call. Now you know what to call. You know what kind of the style the defense is in. You don't really have this guessing game of you're calling a play and your quarterback's completely checking it out. He goes, we know how to call games now. We know what to do when defenses are doing things to
I
us. So like,
love subtle disses to Aaron Rodgers.
so for me,
I
like
don't
it's a better, in my opinion, it's a better offense because they're actually running Kyle's offense. It's not Kyle's offense with Rodgers throwing stuff out that he doesn't like and only doing what he wants. So it's a little bit different. The game plan is going to be, in my opinion, to
It
slow.
would be funny. It would be fun. I mean, I would hate, like, I want the 49ers to keep going. I want to keep talking about them. I want to keep watching them play football. There's no way that I would ever want that to not happen. But in like a whole separate universe, it would be funny if the first time that the Packers beat the 49ers in recent years wasn't with was the first year that Aaron Rodgers left. Like I could
That'd be
just see him at
crazy.
home like so mad.
He'd
Kind
go
of
to
like
his
do his
dark
deep
retreat
breathing
again.
too.
He'd go to that
Yeah,
dark
yeah,
retreat and hide
yeah.
for a good week and not talk to anyone. But like, it's a better offense. Like, to be honest, it really is. And the key to their success is Aaron Jones, in my opinion. If they could run the ball, and I don't necessarily, you don't have to necessarily run the ball like for efficient yards to stick to the run. Like they have to stick to the 2 yards, 2 yards, 2.5, 3. You have to stick to it because if you become one dimensional, you're screwed. Jordan Love's capable of being in third and long. So for me, um, that's one of the things. Uh, there's a comment in the one I want to get to.
One.
So it is a throwback, like a throwback Niner. It has like the patches and stuff like that. I got this.
He's saying, "Dang, you drippy." That's what he's saying. Look, he was like, "I need to know."
I got it from Facebook Marketplace. You'd be surprised.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was an older family, it was an older lady and her husband who were selling a lot of Niner gear, and I prefer older looking vintage stuff for
Me too.
sports,
Me too.
and I went and I swooped it up. The Niner hat I got from, I want to say, Lids. Someone bought it from me, but I want to say Lids has it. You could get it at Lids, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'll find it. Rick, if you follow me on Twitter, message me. I'll find it for you and I'll send you exactly where I got the hat. Um, but I think that the key to success for the Packers is running the ball, and if they can't run the ball, they got to still stick to it. You got to stay in play action with Jordan Love, um, and you cannot, as a 49ers defense, you cannot get beat over the top. They have a lot of speed on that defense. You cannot, and I say it like this 10 times, you cannot get beat over the top. Make them drive the length of the field and make Jordan Love dice you up if he has to.
I completely agree. Hold on. Hey, Packers fan here. Your show showed up on my YouTube. Your team is amazing. I'm here for a great matchup. All us Packers fan have respect for you guys. Packers weren't supposed to be here. This is an oddly very nice comment out of,
Hey,
I feel like
respect. That's me
this guy
tipping the
should
cap.
not go on
Respect.
Twitter because that is not the vibe
Respect.
from most of the people I've heard. But we're really excited for a good game too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's respect. We really appreciate you for
Yeah.
being in here, man. We appreciate Packer fans being able to come in here and actually talk football, and making it more of a fan base thing than being crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Now, do you think that the 49ers will have success running with Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell against this Packers weaker potentially defense?
Yeah. So the reason is it's because they're linebackers, Quay Walker and Kevondre Campbell. Kyle's gonna put them in a blender. And what I mean by putting them in a blender is his pre-snap motions. He likes to do a lot of make you go one way,
You would
literally
think
he's going
that
the
like
other.
you would think Matt LaFleur would pull. Now, obviously, this didn't super work for them But there's been teams who have said that the best way to combat the 49ers play action and all their motion is just to not react to it at all. And you would kind of think Matt LaFleur, being so familiar with the Shanahan scheme, would advise his players to do that. But I guess you're going to get beat either way then, because then Kyle's going to start realizing that you're not reacting to it and actually utilize that. So that makes sense.
So here goes. So the Packers fans, he goes, I think San Francisco will be able to run all day on them. I second what the host said. Yeah, because if you look at the Packers linebackers, right, Quay Walker and Kavondre Campbell, Quay Walker over pursuits too often. You could get him in play action as well. These are the kind of guys that you, when you're playing against, you key on, like you want them to do one thing so you could do the complete opposite, and they're both that way. Now Kavondre Campbell in the past game has been a disaster from what I've seen. Quay Walker he's solid, but again, he could be had. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I do know someone brought up the comment. I don't want to ask you, Ashley, what your thoughts on of that comment were from the, I believe it was Milwaukee ESPN.
Oh
The
yeah,
host.
yeah.
What were your thoughts on that comment?
Okay, so I've had a couple. My initial reaction was completely unacceptable. If a coach were to, get leaked of something, them saying something like that, that coach would be suspended. Also, just randomly is a compliment to the 49ers because he was asked how the Packers should win. And instead of being like, here is an actual strategy that, maybe they could pull off, he was so panicked that the Packers basically don't have any sort of chance that he's like, the only way that they're going to win is if they take out their quarterback. So I just felt like kind of unacceptable in this day and age. I know that football has always, has a history of violence, and the 49ers themselves are extremely physical, but I think that there is a line that you shouldn't be encouraging. Now, obviously he's a radio host, not, a coach, but I don't know. I thought it was in poor taste and honestly didn't make his team look good. And I imagine that if a 49er, if there was maybe there is, but if there's like a San Francisco ESPN and some radio host was like, they should take out Jordan Love, I bet that same guy who was just encouraging it would be on his show like, how dare they say this? That guy should be, offended. And then all game, if there was any sort of, on the line hit, he'd be like, see, they're trying to take him out. So I feel like it came off as kind of fan behavior. Now, when I did listen, I will say, when I first heard about it, I saw the reaction online.
Hold on. I'm gonna stop you there because it wasn't fan behavior. I did see a lot of fans on Twitter, actually Packers fans. And then one of my close, like a lot of, I have one of my closest coaches that ever coached me is a big Packers fan. I messaged him right away, like, what's going on? And they didn't agree with it. They thought that was a terrible comment. They hated that he said that. We have Packers in the space in the channel. A lot of Packer fans were actually mad at him, and because I know for me, I was like, damn, is that what all Packer fans think? Like at first, I was like, damn, that's dirt. But then I started seeing a lot of Packer fans, and they were disagreeing with him, and I was like, okay, cool. Like this is a good fan base. Like it's not the Seattle Seahawks fan base, that's for sure. You know what I mean?
No. Which is I think if you're and maybe some people are extremely biased, but I think if you're just a fan of football in general, I don't want any of the I feel like this about every game. It could be the Super Bowl. I want whatever team, if the 49ers were in it, that we're facing, to have all their best players. When they were going against the Browns, I'm like, oh, I wish that they had Nick Chubb. I want my team, or my team that I root for, when they win, I want to feel like they win against the best and they beat the best. It doesn't feel good when especially in the way that he felt, in the way that I interpreted, I felt like he was encouraging it to be an illegal hit. If he was like, hey,
I mean, he did say
hit
hit, so
because I said earlier on, when one of these wide receivers or Jordan Love is hit by Nick Bosa, when a wide receiver is hit by tackled by Fred Warner, I said earlier, I'm like, that's going to be a wake up call for them. Like, hey, this isn't Dallas. And to me, that's fine to encourage. I want to encourage a physical, game where you're like, okay, this is playoff level football. we are all, going 110%. That to me is fine, but I would never encourage, like he literally said, like after the guy got the ball out, like a 15-yard penalty would be worth it if he basically was, hit hard enough to be shaken up or taken out of the game or whatever. And to me, you can encourage physicality without encouraging something illegal. And I don't understand why that guy, like, it seems kind of clickbaity for him to have done that, which in that case kind of sucks if that was the goal because it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't really care for the comment, especially because he said late hit. Now I get if, for example, the Rams quarterback Stafford against the Lions, he got smacked on one play. It wasn't called.
Yeah.
It was a dirty hit.
I thought
Now,
I thought he was gonna it was like it was in the fourth quarter when they were trying to make a comeback, and he was like on the ground, got stepped on, and didn't react. And I was like 100% sure that he got like a concussion or something, but he wasn't taken out. And there was someone on Twitter, one of those like Twitter doctor guys. He was like, I bet tomorrow they're gonna be like, oh, he showed late symptoms, but luckily he didn't. So never want
yeah, so
anyone to get injured.
like you could hit someone hard enough in a live play and take them out the game doing it legally. Now hitting them late, like come on, like that to me that was like okay, don't hit late. But then he also what when I was looking at that comment, he also did say but so later in the game he's rattled. So I don't think he necessarily wanted him to be knocked out from the game. I think he just wanted him
Just
to be hit hard, to be spooked. Now the way he worded things was terrible. Like if that's the case, like why can't you just say I hope Rashawn Gary gets to Brock Purdy, hits him hard enough during the play where throughout the game he spooked. Like you could have just said that, like, and that
Yeah.
would have been fine.
Like
Like I want,
we're encouraged, like I think as fans, you want like that's like Dre Greenlaw's like bread and butter. He's like, I want to welcome you to this is playing against the 49ers, and we love that as fans. Um, that is it's good that he, maybe followed up with that. But yeah,
like
for a guy who
he
gets
did real
paid to
quick.
speak for a living, maybe not the best sound bite to have out there.
Absolutely, and I know there's a couple other things we want to talk about. What was one of the ones you had on
Really quick.
the list? Go ahead.
So a lot of coaches. Yeah, I'm sure that behind locker room doors, there's a lot of stuff that we're not, privy to. But in the modern Jesus, if I could speak, in the modern day NFL, I don't think that it's acceptable for that stuff to be out. We know too much about people's brains and stuff to be openly encouraging that, whether or not it's happening behind closed doors or not. I know that the NFL encourages it to not be, but you're probably right. I'm not in the locker room, and I'm sure that when they're talking, I'm sure that when Steve Wilkes is talking about Jordan Love, he's like, you better get there, you better hit him hard. Like, but I think there's a difference. Once again, what Marco and I keep saying is encouraging physicality versus encouraging injury is different, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I
Sean
think that
Payton got like thrown out of the league for that, right?
yeah, he got suspended for like want to say a year.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about playing hard, playing physical, doing it the right way though. Out of us, like at the end of the day, these guys have lives, man. They have people who care about them. They have families and stuff like that. So for me, it's all at the end of the day. Also take care of your people. Like there was a video that went viral. One of the players um during the Dolphins game where um Jalen Phillips tore his Achilles right away. The offensive tackle kept stopped playing, but then he like went up to him, "Hey, bro, are you good? Like, are you okay? Like mid play, like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, because he saw what happened. So
Yeah.
like, take care of your people on the field. You guys all are trying to take care of each other. But 49ers, there's a question that I'm curious on. So you sent me a question about who has more pressure on them
Yes.
for a coaching
I thought this was
standpoint.
I thought this was an interesting, and I'm talking not even just in the NFC, but just all of the coaches that are left in the playoffs. I'm of the opinion that I think Kyle Shanahan has the most pressure to win. I could see the argument for hardball, but no, I actually can't. But because he has a Super Bowl win, even though he hasn't, basically sniffed it, I feel like once you have that win, like that gives you so much leeway for so long. My other thought is the Bills, because like they always get to this point and then lose, and it's like you have this star quarterback, you finally have a run game. Like how many times are you going to almost get there? I think the Chiefs are fine. D'Amico Ryans, you're happy to be there. Matt LaFleur, you're happy to be there. Not, I'm obviously they want to win, but I'm saying from a pressure standpoint, in the NFC, I just think Kyle Shanahan has the most pressure for his legacy to kind of win. Like, people respect Kyle Shanahan, and they even put him most, I don't know if you would call it nerds, because I believe this, and maybe not like a nerd, but most people that you talk to who are really into football, they would classify Kyle Shanahan as like a maybe even top 2 coach in the league, top 5, top 3 coach in the league. Better than Sean McVay. But Sean McVay has the Super Bowl. I think until you have that ring, I think it carries so much weight. I just really think, and I don't mean like he's not going to get fired if he doesn't win, but I think the pressure is kind of on, especially if they lost. I mean, I think it would be fires, not fires like as in he gets fired, but like the fan base would act like the world is on fire if they lost to the Packers, I think.
And I think Kyle does have the most to lose right now.
Yeah.
And then it's I hate bringing it up, but when you trade up to get a quarterback at 3, you're in a win now mode. Like, you didn't hit on the quarterback. You obviously missed on Trey Lance. Brock Purdy is your
They didn't?
quarterback.
Wow. I didn't hear about that. People should have, some podcasts that should have been made about that. I bet some people could have made some money.
So you miss on that, and then now your quarterback's Brock, right? You have the team to win. You have the number 1 seed. The last year you got to the NFC Championship, and your quarterback got knocked out, and your entire team literally said, if we had a quarterback, we would have won. So you have everything in place to win against the Packers team. If you lose against the Packers team and you get one in and you're done, you're screwed. Like, as a coach in general, because you don't have your Super Bowl window is open for the amount of time you could blink in the NFL. Like, there's literally, it's open like that. It closes that fast. So for me, I think Kyle Shanahan does have the most pressure to win. And I think, especially because it's divisional round. Now, if you get to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, I don't think the pressure is as much on Kyle. Now,
I think the pressure is on him to win the Super Bowl.
Dang.
Stop getting there. Stop.
I agree with you, but I'm just like, because you also have to realize, like, there's.
But I actually think about this. Like what are some out of the coaches left? What would be a coach that would have as much pressure as he would?
Matt LaFleur. You really lose to the Niners so. three times in a row? Are you that coach?
He has
that
a young team that looks promising.
But it's just too, though. It's, can that coach get you over and get you past Kyle Shanahan? 3 times in a row you lose to them when you had a better roster before. So it's like he has a lot of pressure on him, in my opinion. Like, he has accomplished a lot with a young team, but then there's also the fact where it's like, man, can he get us past Kyle Shanahan in the NFC? Is he the coach that could get me past him?
Do you think that the Todd Bowles, the Bucs coach, saved his job by getting them to the playoffs? Because he was one of those coaches that was like on the hot seat last year.
Yeah, he saved his job. But I do agree with you. Like, I do think Kyle has the most pressure on him, but like, it's because it's divisional round.
My debate was between like this round, like losing this round was between Harbaugh and Kyle. But what I had to go back to was Harbaugh has the Super Bowl. Like, until you win the Super Bowl, and I feel this way with quarterbacks too, right? I think this is why it's so good. Gives quarterbacks a lot of grace when they win a Super Bowl early in their career, is because you can build the perfect team, and if you haven't seen the player get over that hump, you're always going to have that question. Can they win a Super Bowl? Can they win a Super Bowl? Well, with Harbaugh, can he win a Super Bowl? You've seen him. Yeah, he can. Will he this year? Maybe not. Will he next year? Well, we know that he has, so we know he's capable of it. With Kyle Shanahan, he's an excellent play caller. He's amazing. He's a genius. He's, one of these boy wonder guys. He's built an incredible team with a great mentality. Can he win a Super Bowl? We think so, but we don't actually know, like, for a fact.
I mean, if the Niners lose, I know for sure what show I'm excited for, because I know Ashley's gonna be coming in on Kyle Shanahan hard. And rightfully so. Like, but I definitely know you're going to be going at Kyle hard if we lose at any point in the playoffs. So that's the episode I'm most excited about. Everyone on Ashley's show, if you guys are tuned in, please do me a favor, come over to Clutch Gene Sports, subscribe to that channel. If you're on Clutch Gene Sports channel, go to Ashley's personal channel. It's in the description, and hit that subscribe and like button. But the pressure is on for everyone in the playoffs. But definitely, I do agree with you that Kyle has the most pressure on him. I just don't think that Kyle would get fired. Like, I think Jed York understands, like, there's no coach out there who's better than Kyle. Like, who realistically, if you were to go hire a head coach candidate at this point,
I agree.
you're not going to get anyone better than Kyle. And I think kind of why the Cowboys and the Eagles kind of stayed with the head coaches.
I think he's getting some interviews, and I think a lot of this has to do with people like to hire coaches that aren't in the playoffs because they want them to start right away. But Ben Johnson, I know he's gotten a lot of praise.
I think he's going to be a Commanders coach.
Oh, did they announce that? Am I dumb?
No, they haven't announced it, but like,
okay.
there's
I was like,
very good. There's very close in like he was asked about him, and he was saying how like the Commanders are a great fit and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of where he has his mind on getting the number 2 overall pick, getting a quarterback. So that's where I think the 49ers wouldn't have an opportunity to have a head coach unless they were like, you know what, Bill Belichick's out there.
Wait, is this working?
Oh yeah, right there.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry. I get excited and then I'm like, I'm Italian, you know? Grew up with a grandma who she's always like talking like this and like swinging her arms in her head. I could never do, those things where you have to like hold. I was just doing that. I had to sign up for something with like my bank and you have to like hold your head still. And my friend was like holding the phone with me and I was like twitching and she was like, can you not? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I think I'm just shaking at all times. My grandma's like 80 and she's like shaking and I do that. And I don't even drink coffee anymore. I realize it makes me anxious. My friend and I have been going on our little coffee walks, and I quit coffee a while ago, which is crazy because I love the taste of coffee. Really, really left turning this for everyone. But I got a tea instead of a coffee because I was like, don't want to be too. And then that night, I was so anxious that night. And then I haven't had coffee since, and I felt fine. And I was like, oh, I guess I just can't have caffeine now. I'm just like naturally on a little bit of crack.
I normally get headaches if I don't drink coffee.
Banned for that? Never mind. You get headache. I used to be like that. That's why I quit. I feel like maybe I overdid it with the coffee. Like when I was a kid, when I worked at a coffee shop in high school, I drank so much coffee. Did you ever? I remember like my favorite thing was caramel lattes, but I used to ask for like extra syrup with whipped cream blended in and on top. So basically, just like
asking for diabetes right there. It's like, give me a.
I would like drink that before like cheer practice, and then go and be like, bah!
Dang, that's crazy.
What about that Adam Peters Bobby Slowick connection? It's my hypothesis that Bobby Slowick won't get hired this. Like I know that he's done an excellent job with the Texans, but I think people probably want to give him one more year.
I agree with you, and the reason why I say that I don't think Bobby Slowick becomes a head coach yet is he's done a lot of great things, but how much is he getting carried by his quarterback? You're like,
exactly.
How much do you got to give credit to the quarterback where he's doing things that as a rookie we haven't seen in a long time? So it's like if you do get Bobby Slowick, it has to be a quarterback or a team that has a quarterback or a team that is going to have they're in position to draft a quarterback really high, and those quarterbacks aren't there, right? Caleb Williams going probably number 1 overall, Drake May 2, Jaden Daniels, from what I'm hearing, is going to be a Patriot. Kind of what it sounds like. They're taking a quarterback at 3 no matter what. Like that's kind of what I think it was
heard. Bad. I think it was a bad decision for them to stay within the like Belichick cycle for the Patriots. I think it puts too much pressure on him. Yeah,
but
I've heard he's good. But I just feel like, don't you think that like if you get a guy who's from a whole different tree, then your expectations are totally different. But if you get a guy from the same tree, does the fan base like carry over the same expectations? Do you think? Or maybe not?
Well,
because you can just like never live up to Bill Belichick, And I feel like
I think that's what he made sure he was very like announced at the podium during his press conferences, I'm not Bill Belichick and I'm not running everything how
Yeah.
Bill Belichick ran when I'm here. So like he's gonna be
Yeah.
a little bit different. He's gonna have like the same Bill Belichick scheme is great. Like his scheme is really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the way he ran day-to-day things that
Where do you think
might have
he ends
aged
up?
out. I don't know
Belichick.
because Atlanta's over there interviewing him for the second time and
Why would you want to go if you're Bill Belichick?
Captain
Why
Kirk.
would you want to go to? You
Kirk
think they'll
Cousins
get
gonna
Kirk Cousins?
yeah, I think Atlanta's getting Kirk Cousins.
Okay, that could make sense. To
So
me,
then he gets
don't
the
go
quarterback.
anywhere. If you're Bill Belichick, don't go anywhere unless they have a quarterback. But yeah, I could see him with Kirk Cousins. That could be interesting. Really quick, I want to ask you, and someone put it in the comments, but you and I talked about, or I sent you this before. He predicts some people are predicting a Houston upset, which would be fun, but I don't agree with. But he says, Zane says, Texans win, Detroit win, Buffalo win. What are your? Can I ask you for your playoff predictions? I think that could be fun
Yeah,
for all
absolutely. I
of
think
them. Starting, you want to start with the 49ers? This is a
we'll do
49ers
yeah,
channel, so
we'll
maybe.
do Niners
Or we
first.
could do it
So
at the end. Dun dun dun.
we'll do it at the end. That sounds like a good plan. We'll start with the Texans because they're the first game. I think Texans lose. I think Baltimore just has too much for the Texans,
Yeah.
unfortunately, for D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick and all the 49ers staff members that they have over there. They're gonna lose. Now they had a hell of a run in the playoffs, hell of a run in the
Super
regular
good.
season. So
Incredible first year.
yeah, you can't ask for a better first year, and it's kind of hard to back up that first year. You have to back up the first year with even better year, year two.
D'Amico
So
Ryan's got to feel so happy the Panthers got Bryce Young.
oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
so
Like, not that, like, that's what a great thing. Like, because you're a defensive coach, so like you really don't have that much control over your offensive success. So to like fall into, maybe is like a bad way, because like obviously they knew they were going to get the second pick, but to fall into the best quarterback in that draft and have him look like this his first year, and then be able to coach up your side of the ball so well, because obviously their defense has been incredible too. Just way to go, D'Amico Ryans. Happy for him as a former 49er. Saw him on the did you see there was a little NFL clip and words. Good that I'm speaking to a microphone right now where I should know how to talk. There was an NFL Films clip that showed D'Amico Ryans go to one of his cornerbacks. He was explaining that Joe Flacco was
his linebacker.
yeah,
He was a
and he was like,
linebacker.
you need
Yeah,
to undercut it right here. And like on that very next play, he caught it, ran for it, and you saw D'Amico Ryans like pulling like a Robert Saleh, like jumping up and down and like running onto the field over a ref. And then the ref came over and was like, oh, it was funny.
yeah, that's crazy. Like just like understanding like the coaching concepts and coaching your players up, but also letting them know like if you do this, you're gonna get this. Like, but also this is the type of the mentality that D'Amico coaches with is confident as heck. And then the second game, I think Detroit and Tampa is a very close matchup in my opinion. I think what Tampa wants to do defensively is a great job in terms of stopping the run, and doing a lot of things that may throw Goff off. They also have a good enough run game. They also have a good enough quarterback with weapons to beat the Detroit Lions. That's the game where I think it's a toss up. I think Tampa wins that game, which is crazy to say because the Detroit is stacked. But just something like if I had to choose based off of paper, right? If I had to choose off of paper,
Can you hear
I'm
me?
going Detroit. I
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me. I can't
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, you can't hear me.
But I think this is a me problem. Hold on. Sorry.
I'll keep going. But
Wait, talk again. Oh, I can
well,
hear you. Sick.
okay, cool.
Sorry.
So
If
you're
I
good.
looked a little weird for like 4 seconds, I just couldn't hear you.
But yeah, for me, I think like on paper, I think if I had to choose on paper, Detroit would win that game. But since this game isn't played on paper and is played in the dome, I think Tampa might pull off an upset. So I think I got Ravens,
Really?
Tampa. Yeah, for something tells me Tampa. Like I don't know what it is. Again, I'm not the smartest guy there is, right? So like I'm most
Yeah.
likely gonna be wrong because I think you agreed to that.
So far, I'm with you with Ravens, and I'm gonna
Hold on, you
go.
agreed to that. That's cold. All right, you got
I
Ravens.
might have been pro Tampa earlier, but I've changed my ways. We got to make it interesting too, because we got to come
Were
back
you
and
really
see
thinking
who.
Tampa's gonna win, or are you just joking?
I really thought like I could see it, but I think I'm gonna say Lions win.
Okay, and then I'll let you go. Who's winning? The Chiefs or the Bills?
Bills have a run game finally. I don't know how to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if he lost 10 games in a row. I would still want to not bet against him. Like and I know that that's silly, and this is definitely the worst version of the Chiefs. Where are they playing it? They're playing it.
They're playing in Buffalo.
It's gonna be
Actually,
cold.
they're playing in New
Not
York,
that
where you
matter.
are.
Where I am. I know I could
Um,
have gone to the Miami what
Buffalo
game?
game.
The one that
Yeah,
they just
Miami to
had.
Buffalo, the freezing cold one where you got to sit anywhere.
Yeah. Tickets were like $0.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Crazy.
you as long as
Never
you as
get
long
that
as
for
you
the
can find a seat.
49ers. But is it bad to say the Chiefs? Like I want Buffalo to win. This is like who I think is gonna win. But I also feel like they could win. Like it may if you just look at the teams, and Josh Allen is an incredible quarterback too. It's not like, but
If
Chiefs
I
have
had
a
to
good
choose,
defense. Chiefs have a good defense. Josh can turn the ball over. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Chiefs. Is that what do
going
you think?
Chiefs. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I might have to change my opinion now. But I think Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the most dangerous team in the playoffs. They have a top 5 defense. They have Patrick Mahomes. Their offense is starting to put it together. They have a good run game with Isaiah Pacheco.
What if
Um,
it's a 49ers Chiefs Super Bowl rematch? Dun, dun,
that'd be
dun.
a hell of a game. I think they're
One.
Rasheed Rice stepping up for
You have
them.
a quarterback that's not gonna freaking blow the
Close
game
his,
in the
you
fourth
mean close
quarter.
his eyes and throw interceptions? Jeez. But I think Isaiah Pacheco could run the ball well against the Buffalo Bills. Now it's going to be one of those fun games because you also got Josh Allen on the other side. Like it's hard to bet with those two quarterbacks. Anything could happen. Like the
Yeah.
Bills could be down 20 points. I'm like, oh, there's a chance they come back. Like same thing with Mahomes. Now the 49ers Packers game. I'm going to give you guys a score prediction for this one because this is a score I've been giving everyone. I think it's going to be 35-27. I think the Niners win by a touchdown
Ooh.
because the Packers score a late touchdown during that game to get closer. They're going to be trailing all game. They're going to score a late touchdown in the fourth quarter with about 7 minutes left. People are going to think they're going to come back, and then the Niners are going to get a first down, punt. Defense gets a big stop.
I love this. My score prediction is 34. I keep going back and forth. 34, either 24. I could 24. I could even see just depend if it's raining, more of a run game. I could see 20. I want to say either 20 or 24. What do you think I should go with?
I would say 24. I think late
Yeah.
touchdowns, late scores give you that extra. I
Yeah.
always try to
And
account for
that
that. Like
still covers that. That's still to me I'm betting that they're going to cover that 9.5 then.
oh,
I think
you're covering the
34.
spread. I don't think they cover the 9.5
I don't think
because
that they'll want to, but the 49ers, that's the one. I mean, the Packers have won a lot of close games and the 49ers haven't. That's the one
beating
that
teams
could be it.
by 10 points in the NFL in the playoffs is hard. Like
Yeah.
it's hard.
Do you think that the Ravens beat the Texans by 10 point? Aren't they also like 10-point favorites?
I do think the Texans
Okay.
get beat by 10 points only because that game in my opinion it's a little bit different. Like you have I don't know. Even then I don't like it's kind of makes me like not want to say they're going to lose by 10 cuz I still don't think in the playoffs and regular season it's hard to beat a team by 10 points in the NFL.
So you earlier, you kind of maybe spoiled your prediction by saying that you thought Jordan Mason could potentially get some touches. Do you think at any point of this game we see Sam Darnold not because of injury, but because they're pulling out the starters?
If Kyle decides to have him go take a knee, that's the only
Yeah.
time I think Sam Darnold you see Sam Darnold at all. I think if Kyle's like, you know what, Brock, let him go take a knee. I think that's the only time you'll see him. Um, so that I don't know. Like I think Jordan Mason does get carries at the end of the game because they're already going to be up 8 points, for example, eight with like a minute left or a minute 30, you have to kill the game. kind of thing. But even then, like if it's that close to the game, I don't think Kyle's taking out Christian McCaffrey. Like,
No. I don't think Christian McCaffrey's coming out.
but also
Kyle
think
might say, "Hey, Christian, you wanna take a seat?" And
like also too, like if the Niners blow him out, that's the only time I think we see Jordan Mason. I don't think it's gonna be a blow. I don't think in the NFL you don't see blowouts. Like that's for sure you do not see. You like it's rare you'll see a team get blown out. Now it sucks that I say this, and then in the wild card weekend, we saw every team get blown out in the NFL. Like it is so yeah, that to me was like so annoying. Like I'm trying to watch good football here, everyone
Yeah.
decides to get blown out on wild card weekend. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And it's not even like it was all the 7 seeds' fault, because that was my initial takeaway was like, this is why they shouldn't do the 7 seed. But it's like that was one of the teams that blew the team out. It was just the opposite way that people might have thought it would be. But yeah, this was a really fun stream, Marco. I'm gonna go check out some food and stuff. What are you gonna do for the rest of the night?
Probably gonna see what the wife wants to eat, see if she wants to order in. I'm not trying to go out to dinner tonight.
There you go.
Probably order some dinner, um, relax, put on a movie, chill. But
I really
enjoy your
want to.
dinner.
I want to see Priscilla, the Elvis movie. I want to see it.
Is that out yet?
It's out. My friends went and saw All of Us Strangers the other day. It's a really sad
We
movie.
watched that movie Saltburn. Have you seen that one?
I've heard of it. I
I feel
haven't
like
seen
you
it.
would
Is it
like that
good?
movie. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good movie. It's
Okay.
It's like it's kind of like weird, but it's interesting. It was a good movie.
Do
Like
you
me and
like
my
how
wife
he
enjoyed
said
it.
I'll like it, and then he said it was weird?
I mean, you already called me not the smartest guy. Like it is what it is, right? Like,
I didn't
um,
see.
but but it's like it's it's different. That's for sure. Like it's not like your regular movie. I liked it. I thought it was cool. That's the last movie we've seen. We actually watched Saint X. I don't know if you've seen like it's a show on Hulu. Um,
Mm.
that one was I really liked that one, especially because we just went to Jamaica. So like
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
takes place in Jamaica, and like that one was I thought that one was really good. Like it's on Hulu.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm going to go check out some shows and some movies. I hope everyone has a great night. Make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be back on giving an instant reaction to the game tomorrow, potentially with Rohan, but potentially by myself, not exactly sure. And then lots of content to come for the rest of the week, all in New York. I think also I'm not exactly sure if they're going to do it, but I might have my friends pick some score predictions too, which I think could be fun because they're not super football people, but I'm just going to tell them generally the storylines and have them wildly guess and see how I'm basically stealing Jesse Naylor's idea, but I actually think Jesse Naylor's kid might know way more about football than my friends do. um,
Well, he
but
had his son on. Like that was pretty intense.
yeah. He was like pulling out knowledge. They're not gonna do that. It would just be for jokes. But I hope you guys have a wonderful night, an evening, and a great game tomorrow. I'm hoping for a really good game and a Niners win. So make sure to like and subscribe to, once again, my YouTube channel, and then follow Marco on his YouTube channel, Clutch Stream Sports, and on Twitter. And keep up with us because next week we're gonna be back here and see what was the one game that we disagreed on, the Tampa Lions game.
Tampa Lions, and I think that's the only one. I think you said
Yeah, because we both said
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
and you said Ravens or Texans.
Ravens.
Yeah,
Ravens and 49ers. All right, man. We gotta soak up these last little bits of football. I don't want it to end, so I'm just
I mean
gonna. We're
football
focused
don't
on
end. Football don't end. You
Are
got the
you doing
draft.
the
You
rock
got the
thing?
draft.
Okay.
No, you got the
I thought you were gonna be
XFL
like,
still like no, but you got the I'm not a USFL or XFL merger. Nah, you got the draft. You got free agency. You got training camp. You got regular season playoffs, and then you go right back to the draft
content coming all year round,
all year
baby.
long.
Like and subscribe.
All year long.
Have a great show. Hope it's a good game. That Packers fan was like, it was a great live stream. Good luck tomorrow. He was so nice. Thanks. You guys too. I love when people are nice like that. Bye, guys. Have a great